Aloha folks, good morning. Safari Helicopters flight on the 22nd of November at 8:20. Today we got Tanya, Kelly, Dennis, Mark, Tori, and Carla. Welcome aboard everybody. Aloha. I was going to tell you up front, you guys got a microphone. Push that button, speak right into the top of that. Where are you guys from?
Okay, Whitefish, Montana.
Montana. Is anywhere near Bozeman?
Close to Bozeman.
Yeah.
About 5 hours,
Oh,
6
wow.
hours.
That's the only thing I know about Montana. I got friends that live there. It's about all I know.
Whitefish is near Glacier Park.
Okay. Oh, you got your microphone. Push that button, hold that close to your mouth. Welcome to you.
Hey, thanks. I'm Dennis.
Hey, Dennis.
And your name?
It's my first day today, so I'm kind of nervous. I've got kind of a routine in my head going, so can we wait till everybody gets on board? Hopefully won't screw it up.
Gotcha.
No, yeah, I've got a briefing that I'll do as soon as everybody's on board here.
Gotcha.
So Mark, there's a tan-colored little contraption right there. That's your microphone. It's right here up on the back of the seat. You grab hold of that, push the button, hold that close to your mouth. That's how you talk to everybody. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up, Tori? Got a microphone. Push that button, hold that close to your mouth. You're talking to everybody. Where are you from?
Phoenix.
Phoenix. Well, welcome. How's it going, Carla? He's got a microphone. You two are sharing back there. You squeeze on that button, hold it close to your mouth. That's how you talk. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
So guys, good morning. This is your flight. Those microphones are there for you folks to use. Feel free to ask me anything, anytime throughout the flight. I'll be more than happy to give you folks an answer. So my name is Paka. I was born and raised right here on Kauai. I left when I was 17 for the military. I served in 2 branches of the service. I started in the Navy. I finished in the Army. Army is what taught me how to fly helicopters. So here I am back at home. Going to share some beautiful sights with you folks today. Ladies up front, you have these vents here. They're currently wide open just to cool off the helicopter. You can move them around or you can close them if you want to. Folks in the back seat, if you look above everybody's head, there's vents there for your adjustment comfort. And once we do take off and throughout the flight, I will try and keep the aircraft as cool as the air conditioner will let me. In my experience, I found that helps with the upset stomachs. We are going to be making a whole lot of turns at the right and the left to give everyone a great opportunity to see this island from both sides. If anybody does start to feel a little uncomfortable, that's okay. Start by keeping the eyes on the horizon. Do not close your eyes. Don't put your head down. Don't put your head back. But if it gets to the point where it's a little too bad, folks in the back seat, see those light blue pouches back there? They have some white plastic bags in them. For you ladies in the front, they're right in the middle between the two of you in a seat pocket there. We call these things aloha bags. So if you start to feel a little special, just go and grab a bag, say aloha right into it. All right, last but not least, I got some safety equipment to go over real quickly before we go. So Kelly, on the other side of your right leg, there's a little orange handle by the door. In the event of an emergency or I say get out, what I want you to do is simply break off that plastic cover. You lift that orange handle straight up, that door will completely fall off the helicopter. I have a handle just like it on my left side here. For you folks in the back seat by the doors, notice by your knees, you got a door handle. In the event of an emergency or I say get out, you simply want to rotate that handle downwards. Doors open outward just like an automobile. We've got a first aid kit located underneath the back seat there. We've got the fire extinguisher up front here. All of us are wearing those fashionable yellow life preservers around our waists. If I don't have any questions on the usage of those or anything else I just went over, you guys ready to go see some beautiful sights, have some fun? All right. Lihue Tower, good morning. Safari 2's on pad 10, got Foxtrot. Like a harbor departure, please.
Safari 2, Lihue Tower, taxi mid-pad, harbor departure, clear for takeoff.
Go for takeoff, land harbor. Safari 2's on the go. Alright guys, here we go. So guys, I do need to be clear of the airport environment around us here before starting with the in-flight narration. Won't be very long though. We're going to cross over the water just ahead over there. Once we get a little closer to that area, that's where I'll go ahead and start for you. So guys, just starting on the right side, we have Kalapaki Beach down there. Looks like some people enjoying their day off, catching some waves. And then we have Na Willy Willy Harbor over here. Got the Pride of America cruise ship in today. It travels around the Hawaiian Islands. It stops here every Thursday and leaves on Friday. And that song that was playing in the background, well, some of you might remember from the movie Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. The reason why it's playing in this particular spot here, you see that river off to our right over there, it's called the Huleia River. Well, the getaway scene where he jumps into the seaplane and takes off on the water, well, that's where that was filmed. This river was also seen in theaters 2 summers ago in a movie starring Goldie Hawn and Amy Schumer. It was called Snatched. And then there's that large pond just to the right side of the river over there, called the Alikoko Fish Pond, or more commonly known as the Menehune Fish Pond. So there's a ridgeline just on our left side. You keep on following that ridgeline till it takes that little dip. At the base of that dip, you're going to see a little dirt road in the movie Descendants. That's where George Clooney and his family stood atop looking out at the ocean. So throughout the flight today, as we make our way around the island, we'll see a bunch of empty fields or pastures, just like we have on either side here. Just over 20 years ago, most of this was all sugarcane. It just became too expensive to grow sugarcane here on Kauai, then ship it off to Northern California for processing, so we no longer commercially grow any sugarcane on this island. But speaking of sugarcane, just off our left-hand side, there's that large body of water down there. It's called the Waita Reservoir. So that is man-made, and it was created to supply irrigation water to those sugarcane fields. As a young boy, though, I grew up fishing for largemouth bass out of this reservoir. That's because you see the little neighborhood to the left of it? Well, that's where I grew up. That's in the town of Koloa. I also learned how to surf at some of those beaches on our left-hand side. That's in the sunny south side town known as Poipu. So on our left side, near the shoreline, some dark green colored fields start off and they go quite a ways ahead in the distance there. Well, that's the Kauai coffee plantation, with 3,100 acres of coffee being grown here on the island. The Kauai Coffee Company, it's the largest single coffee producer in the United States. So the first scenic attraction that we're going to go see this morning is called the Manawaiapuna Waterfall. But this waterfall is more commonly known as the Jurassic Park Waterfall. It was that waterfall seen in the very first Jurassic Park movie where they landed the helicopter right at the base of this waterfall. It's still just a short distance upstream yet, but once we get in closer, I'll be making some turns to put it out both sides, giving everyone a great chance to see this beautiful waterfall. So we're going to start on the right side first. We have the Jurassic Park waterfall down there. And out the left side, the Jurassic Park Falls. So in the making of this movie, they had to build a special wooden platform right at the edge of the water down there, just so they could land the helicopter at the base of this waterfall. And before anybody asks, unfortunately, no, there are no hiking trails that lead back in here. That's because this is all on private property, and they allow no hikers to come back in here. So the only way most people get to see this waterfall in person, well, it is by aircraft. Now, who owns all this land around us, you might ask? It's the Robinson family. Liza Sinclair, she's the matriarch, and she sailed over from New Zealand back in 1863. She came over here to Kauai to buy some land to raise cattle on. She ended up buying over 100,000 acres worth of land. She also gave King Kamehameha IV $10,000 in gold for the island of Niihau. That lies 17 miles off our western coast. It's known as the Forbidden Isle. So the Robinson family, they still own that Isle of Niihau. There's less than 100 people that still call Niihau home, but it is the last place in the world you'll find true native Hawaiians living today. Now, they are all guests of the Robinsons based on a promise made to King Kamehameha to take care of his people. So they pay no rent out there. They can live out there as long as they want to. They can leave anytime they want to. But they live really simple lives. There's no electricity, no running water. In fact, the Robinsons have to barge the fresh water out there to them. There's a certain set of rules that they must abide by, and that is no alcohol, no tobacco, and no drugs are allowed out there. And every person living out on Niihau, well, they either have to have a job or a role that supports that community, or they can no longer live out on Niihau. So this canyon here, well, this is called the Olokele Canyon. Believe it or not, all this too belongs to the Robinson family. So a question that I'm often asked around here, why is this dirt around us so red? Well, during a volcanic eruption, iron ore is brought to the surface. Many centuries later, that then becomes iron oxide, or what's known as rust, staining everything that red there. So there's a little ridge line going to be passing directly beneath us here shortly. Well, this ridge line is the property divide between the Robinsons and the state. So from this point forward, everything is all state-owned land. So we are now entering the Waimea Canyon, or as Mark Twain coined this, the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. However, unlike the real Grand Canyon, much of this was not formed through runoff or erosion. You see, millions of years ago was a massive shift in the tectonic plate, splitting the Earth here, giving us what we have today. Now this ridge line directly in front of us, up top there, that's where you're going to find highways 550 and 552. Well, those are the roads that'll take you up here to the Waimea Canyon and the Kokee State Park. There are a number of scenic overlooks, a museum, restaurant, and gift shop all near the very top. As we start to make our way a little further back into the canyon here, you really start to take note of those horizontal lines that crisscross the canyon face around us. Those were all individual eruptions over the millions of years that stacked layer upon layer onto the island. So I'll start on the right side first. I'll bring this around to the left side here shortly. But coming up off our right front here is a waterfall. It's called Waipo'o Falls. And on our left side here, Waipo'o Falls. Now if any of you have an opportunity to drive up here to the Waimea Canyon, this is the waterfall that is seen from many of the scenic overlooks along the canyon rim on our right-hand side. So as we cross the ridgeline ahead here, you'll see Highway 550 pass directly beneath us. Also straight in front of the helicopter, off in the distance, the Forbidden Isle of Ni'ihau. There's a little pond just on our right side. It's called the Lua Reservoir. So it is stocked with rainbow trout. They open it up once a year for a couple of months for us to come fishing. It's the only place on island though that actually requires a fishing license. And some of the wildlife that can be found up here, well, you'll find the wild boar, the black-tailed deer. Along the cliff face, a mountain goat. All species are introduced over time, either on purpose or by accident. They are all open for hunting to control that population. So coming up very shortly here will be the Nepali coast. So Nepali, it means many cliffs. It's 17 miles of continuous coastline, accessible only via aircraft, boat, or you can hike the first 11 miles of it.
Is that 11-mile hike open right now?
It is not, unfortunately. The road that leads to the trailhead is still closed, and I'll point all that out when we get over to that side of the island. Yeah, it's been closed all the way since April. So I'll start on the left side first. I'll bring this around to the right side here shortly. That stretches Sandy Beach off to our left over there. That's the Kalalau Beach. That's the end of the 11-mile Kalalau Trail. And this valley that we're heading into here is called Honopu. In 1978, Hollywood remade the King Kong movie. This here was Skull Island. So again, this stretches Sandy Beach to our right here is the Kalalau Beach. So that Kalalau Trail, it ranks 7 or 8 out of 10 in the level of difficulty. They say it takes those guys on average 8 to 10 hours just to hike out here to this beach.
Can people camp there?
They actually are supposed to. In order to get permission to come out here, you're required to purchase a camping ticket from the state. Most people do spend a couple of days recouping and then heading back. But then a few years ago, those I guess CrossFit or P90X, those extreme fitness guys, they were starting at sunrise, running all the way out here, getting out here about noon, resting for a few hours and heading back and being back at the end of the trail by sunset. Haven't heard about that in a long time. I don't know if they put a stop to it or people just realize that's almost an impossible feat. But yeah, you are supposed to camp out here. And this large valley here is called the Kalalau Valley, the largest valley found here along the Nepali. It was also the last to be said to be inhabited by the native Hawaiians. I read that as late as 1898, nearly 5,000 native Hawaiians still call this valley home.
Have you been to that other island to the left?
So that is the island of Niihau. The little smaller one that we can just see right now, that's called Lehua Rock. It's actually owned by the United States Coast Guard, and it's leased to the Department of Land and Natural Resources as a seabird sanctuary. Any expedition or charter that says they take you to Niihau, whether it's whale watching, snorkeling, or scuba diving, they actually go to Lehua Rock. Nobody goes, just to respect the privacy of the Niihauans, none of the charter operators will actually take you to Niihau. And no, unfortunately, I've not been to Niihau yet. So I'll start on the left side first, but I'll bring this around to the right side here shortly. On the left-hand side, if you follow the shoreline till it ends, once you get there, look about 3/4 of the way up. That first sharp, pointy little peak you come up to is called Mount Makana. But in 1957, Hollywood filmed a movie here called South Pacific. Well, with special effects, they cut that pointy little peak off, put that out in the middle of the ocean. They called that the mystical island of Balihai. And again on our right side, all the way at the very end, the first sharp pointy little peak, Mount Makana, or Balihai. And if anybody would like to know if that word Balihai has any meaning in the Hawaiian language, I'll tell you that it does not. In fact, the Hawaiian alphabet doesn't even have the letter B in it. Alright guys, I know I was making a lot of twists and turns here along the Nepali, but I wanted to try and give everyone a great opportunity to see this beautiful coastline from on both sides. But for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to try and keep the aircraft as straight to level as I can, just trying to give our stomachs a little chance to settle down. So there's a little sandy beach tucked into the corner on our right side here. That's Ke'e Beach. So this is where the road ends on our north shore. That's also the start to that 11-mile hike to the Kalalau Beach. Back in ancient times, though, that area there was home to the very first hula school in all of the Hawaiian Islands. As I mentioned earlier, that beach and all the ones directly in front of us still closed off because of that record-breaking rainstorm that caused a landslide just off in a distance where that mountain comes down to the ocean there. That's where it covered over the road. Now they've managed to get one lane back open for local traffic, but they don't anticipate that being open until January for the general public. The large reef sticking out to our right down here is the reef that they call tunnels. You'll see in the movie Soul Surfer starring Bethany Hamilton. It was her true life account of what happened to her back in 2000. There's a little town to our right here. That's the town of Hyena. So Pierce Brosnan is said to have some property down there. Whenever he is on island, he's often spotted out and about in town. But back in the 1960s, Elizabeth Taylor's brother Howard had some property there. Tried to develop on it, but the county wouldn't grant him his permits to build. He turned his property into a hippie commune, and they called it the Taylor Camp. So that song that just started playing in the background is the theme song to that South Pacific movie filmed right here on the island. So there's a stretch of sandy beach just off our right front over here. Now we'll be passing right over the top of it shortly. This is called Lumahai Beach, but in that South Pacific movie, this was known as Nurses Beach. So this is where Mitzi Gaynor washed that man right out of her hair. Oh, looks like we got the convoy going. All the residents. They have to wait certain times of day for the convoy to take them in and out. So as we head inland, mostly on our left side, but there's a few off to our right down there. Those patties you see, those are taro patches. So back in ancient times, there was no refrigeration in order to preserve the meat and fish while they would salt it. Now, of course, when it came time to eating, it was quite salty. Well, they take this taro root, they mashed into a paste. We call this stuff poi. Now, if any of you have been to one of our Hawaiian luau's, well, you have the opportunity to taste that bland tasting paste. However, I'm told it's not too bad. Take some of that salted meat or fish, you dip it into your poi, eat it together. So off in the distance out the left-hand side, that's the town of Princeville out there, close